Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today is Hugh Henry. Hugh is running for Board of Supervisors in the Fork District. Congratulations. I'm glad to see people running.
Thank you a lot for having me, Mr. McCool. It's a good opportunity for locals to get some local exposure. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
The first question I always ask every candidate is, why in the world would you want to do this?
I ask myself that one once in a while, but truth be known, I'm just satisfied. The person representing the Fork District now, when Ms. Cook ran before, I was asked to run in, but I was just not at a point in my life with business and things that were going on that I could feel like I could dedicate the time to it to do the right job. I felt like if I tried to do that job and my job, I'd not get either one of them done correctly, but I'm at a point in my life now to where my business is at a little different place, and my life's in a little different place, so I feel like I've got the time. And then I've been critical of Supervisor Cook, so it might be time to kind of put my money where my mouth's at, kind of thing, to get in there. And I feel like I got the experience now after 4 more years on the Planning Commission, wealth of knowledge. And
it opens your eyes, doesn't it?
Yeah, some of the people's comments and stuff, it's stuff you would never envision until you see how it works in the real world. So it's been an interesting experience, very good learning experience, and I think it's going to be a super tool for me to use.
Yeah, that's what I always tell people. When you get on a board of any type, from the outside looking in, you're thinking, oh, why'd they do this? Why'd they do that? Then when you get there, you say, oh, well, I think we should do that. Oh, you can't because the law says you can't do that, or the rule, And so it's a lot different when you're on the other side.
Yes. In years previous to serving, I can remember being on the other side, giving those guys a hard time. So I guess when it was my turn, for them to give me a hard time back was fair too.
So what do you see as your vision for the county?
Well, from an economic development standpoint, I think we're lacking there. I think we're still living in a shadow of an EDA crisis. I think it's just an excuse now.
Right.
I think it's time to completely put that behind us. Consequently, because we have not developed very good recently, we're at budget shortfalls. I would say, just based on the way the school budgets and stuff have been flatlined the last few years, that at some point they're going to have to raise their taxes. With no new income, just at the rate of inflation, which has affected everybody and every trade and every business. County same way, inflation. They have to buy goods and pay people and all that stuff too. So if we don't have any new income, at some point I'm fearful that they'll either have to cut services or raise taxes, and that's not very popular.
Yeah, no, people don't like their taxes to go up. But there's a lot of hidden taxes and all sorts of fees and services, and inflation and everything else drives it. But basically the bottom line is we need to increase our income. And it doesn't hurt to cut. I mean, we need to analyze all our expenses.
Absolutely.
Because it grows hiddenly, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Is that a word, hiddenly?
Yeah, hiddenly. I'm sure it is a word. No, you absolutely have to hold everybody budget, conscious, and checks and balances, and make sure funds are being spent appropriately and not wasted. And it's hard to catch every penny, but you just got to do the best that you can.
Yeah.
For economic development, I got asked a question about data centers. And I'm not all in that I think data centers will cure Warren County's financial needs, but based at being $100 million in debt and not having any new income, I'm open to any ideas that won't destroy us. Middletown has a data center now. They're talking about building one in Strasburg. I don't know that it fits Warren County, but I'd at least be willing to listen to it. We've got one commercial industrial zone out on the 522 corridor, Slate Run Farm. It's in the process of that. And it's kind of a shame too. They've been 2 years, and I'm not sure why they're being held up. But they're stuck at a point in a rezoning that they need some help to move forward to get that property advertised so they can start developing it. And we're not getting that done, and I'm not sure why.
Well, that brings up the next question. Are we business friendly like we should be?
Absolutely not. I do some work for Shelley Cook. Consequently, working for her as a subcontractor did not make me a very good representative for her, because as being a local subcontractor working for her, I had to abstain from any discussion or any voting for anything she was trying to do. But she told me she spent as much as $80,000 in interest payments where her projects were slowed down. They were talking about a tourism initiative and a few things. She's tried to do a lot of stuff,
Sure.
tourism and agro-tourism, and she indicated to me that she didn't have these obstacles in Page County, that much easier opportunity. She said here she applied for permits, was approved, thought she was done, was actually able to achieve financing on that. And then it was time to do the work. There were parts of the CUP that had been changed that didn't fit what she was actually trying to do, and she had to come back in and kind of go through the process again. And the whole time that timeline's running, if you've borrowed money, it's a current interest.
Yeah.
So,
interest keeps piling on, and it adds up quick with big projects.
Yeah, I'd say if our government would do a little better job of staying out of the way of the private sector, I think it'd be better for everybody.
Yeah.
That's a Republican idea too, by the way.
Well,
I am running as a Republican, or trying to. So
I tell people all the time, it's one thing to be watching out for what's best for our community, but we need to, get out of the way. Help. Why does it always have to be no? Why can't it be a yes? Or how can we help you make it work? Right? Maybe it is a no, but let's look at it and see what we can do to make it work better.
On a planning commission, I was always an advocate for property rights or personal property rights. And, we got some rules and some guidelines to go by, but just as a rule of thumb, if you came in for a CUP or wanted to do something on your property, the safety check that I always give it was, are you harming your neighbor? Are you devaluing their property or keeping them from using their property the way they want to? And if I could check those two questions off, I mean, there's still a lot of rules and regulations, but if I could check those two big ones off, if you weren't harming your neighbor or devaluing your neighbor's property, if it's your property and you're paying taxes on it, you probably ought to be able to do what you want to on it to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know anybody would argue with that.
Well, you'd be surprised. But that's just kind of way I kind of, I've had people come up to me after planning commission meetings and shake my hand and told me I was the voice of common sense, or the common sense vote, and I've kind of carried that into my campaign, and I hope to carry that same reputation as a board member if I'm lucky enough to get elected.
What's your feelings on how the board is handling the library situation?
Well, I don't agree with any of it. I'm definitely a supporter of Samuel's Library. They've been attacking them for a couple years. I think it started.
Yeah, this is not a new thing.
Yeah, no, it's not a new thing. I think there was. They asked me it was some books or something that may have had some adult content. I don't personally use the library services. I'm fortunate enough that I have internet at home and in a small laptop computer. So and I don't read much for leisure. So, but I'm basing it off the people that I talk to that do use it. They give it a very high rating, but I think when the attack started, it was something to do with some adult censorship, and I'm fine with adult censorship. I give the example that if my children were at Skyline High School, which they've long gone now, but when they were there, if they said, "Hey, Dad, we're gonna stay over for a basketball game, but we're gonna walk up to 7-Eleven and get a drink and a hot dog or something, and then go back to the school," I would be under the feeling that them going into 7-Eleven, they wouldn't be able to buy lottery tickets or cigarettes or beer because they're adult restricted.
Exactly.
And then if I sent my kid to the library to do some kind of assignment or just read a book, I'd have to, you should be able to feel fairly assured too that they wouldn't have access to adult content. So I thought that was fair, but after that, I can't get a good feeling on the attack. Samuels has been here for almost 200 years. Or over 200 years actually, in some form or the other. They've been a staple in the community. Maybe I'm just a sucker for heritage because I'm a hometown kid, but
Sure.
I don't like the idea of removing that. And then they created a library board, which have really got a lot of problems with on a couple different fronts. one, as a Republican, I don't like big government ideas. So I think another committee or board sometimes is just more government. And then the other reason why I can't support it really is the way it was picked, because it doesn't have fair representation from each district. Typically, if we do a voluntary citizens board, each board member would get to pick a representative from their district. Currently, South River is not being represented at all. And then I'm not sure how they did it in closed session, so I couldn't say for sure how it was picked. But I had actually asked Cheryl Cullors because she didn't have a representative, and she said it was just a list of 5 names, and it was either yes or no. And she had voted no on them because she didn't feel like it was a fair pick on the community. And then Miss Cook herself, she's left the Republican Party. I don't think she is connected with her voter base anymore, and because of her and the way nothing personal against them individually.
Sure.
But just in the way that board was created, I don't think gives a fair representation of the community. So I couldn't support that library board, and I certainly don't support doing away with a 200-year institution that has won awards. And I just run into people all the time that was like, man, we really like our library. Don't tear it to pieces. And
but you are a proponent of checking out, inspecting what we spend our money on.
Oh yes, they have to be held fiscally responsible to taxpayer money as any other entity. But we don't have to. I mean, the school board's got an elected board, but we don't have to have a committee for Humane Society is a nonprofit that we fund, and there's others. I mean, it's a list if you go through. But I think the board's just an attack board. I really do. I think it's a false narrative, and I say leave. The other thing, too, is look at the money they've spent on attorney's fees and all the energy that they've spent. And not to jump back over, to cross over, we were talking about government instruction. The Slate Run Farm project, them people spent a couple years, too. They're waiting. They literally can't move forward waiting on the board to do something, But then they've got all this time to fight the library. It's some kind of disconnect with the citizens, because for what they're doing and for what people want, I'm getting two different different.
I always thought that sometimes, of course there are rules for how long you have to advertise something and do it for meetings and things like that. But sometimes it just keeps kicking the can down the road. People think that.
I would, like I say, it's not a data center thing. It could be commercial's not done well. I hate to say it, but the Amazon's killed the box store.
Sure.
So you're not going to see the malls with the Searses and things like that. That stuff's kind of disappearing with online shopping. Our area seems to be doing very well with warehouse distribution.
We have a great location.
Well, we got interstate railroad, so location's important. It does provide some tax base. A mix of a little bit of everything. So they're paying, for that property. We're run off of property tax.
Sure.
I mean, that's how our government's funded. So it's very important to get some industrial development of some kind to offset that tax base. I think that's where your income's got to come from. I don't think it comes from housing. From housing standpoint, if that house, average 3-bedroom house price with 2 children in school, puts the county at a negative by the time they pay for those in school. So you can't get it, and everybody thinks you build more houses, we'll collect more taxes.
You need more services.
But you need more services, and you're actually
police and the fire, everything.
Yeah, everything, schools, all that stuff. So you actually lose money with high density housing.
That's why a lot of communities have gone to the 55 plus.
55 pluses are
I
net
think some
positive.
have come to the planning commission.
We did. There was one out to Rockland. I supported it. The density might have been a little high. It needed some work. Rural Rockland came out, and I hear them. They don't want overdevelopment. So maybe it was a good decision overall. But from a tax-based standpoint, 55 and older, they're not going to have the kids in the schools, but they actually. And I'm 54, so I'm headed that way. So there's actually additional medical service for fire and rescue.
Sure.
As people get older, they get sick more often.
If you
Need
need
service.
those services, that's what drives the services. Maybe the hospital will get better.
Yeah, well, maybe.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I hate to see them overworked like that, but no, as an aging population will require more services from that department, but they won't need it from schools, obviously.
let's touch real quick on tourism. What's your feeling on that?
Well,
Because that's what they're pushing. We're going to make all our money off tourism.
well, there's a place for tourism. All your small shops on Main Street will not survive on local business. There's just not enough of us that use the local shops. So to get enough customer base, they've got to have some tourism. They've got to have it to get enough customer base so that they can pay their taxes. I did hear Mr. Supervisor Jameson's speech, and it's I didn't care for it either. It seemed like a lot of big government ideas where we were going to mix private sector with either government land or funds. They can't get the library right. Why would you even consider something that complicated? And then Mr. Termeyer had actually given me the same spiel. He had indicated that at one point that he was going to run for Happy Creek Board of Supervisor. I'm not sure whether he's still entertaining running or not, but he kind of tried to sell the idea to me, and I definitely support tourism, but I don't like mixing it with government. He used, is it Sedona, Arizona, as an example. I did a little research on that. They pay less in property taxes, and they're a whole lot higher sales tax based community.
Yeah.
So then tourism dollars spent in the community at a sales tax would be a more direct to the county for funding, but Virginia counties aren't structured that way. We're more property tax.
Right.
We have a transient lodging tax, but it has to be spent back on tourism. We've got a meals tax, and it has to be spent on capital, and pay attention to the language, it's capital improvement projects for schools. That doesn't fund schools. That's not paying teachers or the light bills or anything. It's capital improvements, so it's,
for buildings.
Yeah, fix a roof, maybe maybe fix the tennis courts. I heard them talking about stuff like that. Perfect place to use the money. And then they, and I remember back earlier in the year, Ms. Cullors talking about using some of those dollars to maybe develop Rockland Park, because they could tie it in with travel ball and it would qualify as tourism. That's a great idea, because of course the grant program at the federal level's got all held up with the Doge stuff that was going on, but I think that's back going now. But I think with a $500,000 investment, by the time you applied for all your grants, it looked like to me it was going to be close to a $2 million return. So you're using tourism dollars that you can't spend in general fund, and by putting up $500,000 and getting a $2 million investment, it's pretty good math.
Pretty good math, yeah.
Pretty good math. And then when those things are done, I don't know if you've been to Bing Crosby at Little League season. This definitely fits a need in the community to have some more ball fields and more opportunity there. So I would definitely support that, but I do not support mixing government and private funds to build an ice skating ring or a convention center. I don't like. They're big government ideas. I don't like them anyway. The other thing that to do those numbers in that Sedona chart, I feel like traffic would probably look like Apple Blossom in Winchester or our Festival of Leaves.
Well, I've been to Sedona many times. I lived in Arizona, and I can tell you, comparing Front Royal to Sedona is like apples and oranges.
Well, see, I've never been there, so it's
completely different. And also, the draw, Arizona is completely different type of. It's the state as a whole gets tourists, and you got the Grand Canyon, you got the ski resorts, you got all sorts of things that people do that travel that corridor out there. So you have a built-in.
Yeah, I don't think we got for that kind of
$2 billion is a lot of tourists.
Oh yeah, no, it's I can't remember our number, but
the whole town's built around it. I mean, everything is basically 100% tourism.
We don't have the infrastructure for it, and then the people that I'm kind of self-polling, my supporters, when I talk to them about it, they enjoy our festivals. We have, I don't know how many festivals a year, probably 1 or 2 a month, but I don't think they want to live in that kind of traffic environment. I think those numbers.
We complain when the leaf lookers come up.
Yeah, and I don't think you want that every weekend here, every week. Because
I know downtown businesses complain when there's just one every couple of months, it goes, oh, you've blocked the street, there's no parking, and blah, go on and on and on.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a balance there.
There's a balance.
That's why tourism dollars will definitely help our community. It'll support local business. They pay taxes. Oh, I think that's a no-brainer. That's good for the community. But if you put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, so if you did it all industrial and something goes wrong industrial, you don't have tourism. Tourism could be shut down. You never know when the next pandemic's coming. Gas goes to $5 a gallon. Some people quit traveling. Tourism could fall off. But if you've got a mix of incomes, you've got something to maybe offset when something goes down. Something will usually go up. So I think a mix is a better income for the county for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's I just think a mix, and I think the commercial industrial is a more direct, because they're paying property tax on those buildings and contents, and that is
machinery and tools. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that stuff, and that's a direct payment. To the general fund. Where tourism, yes, it'll also
through the kitchen door.
Yeah, it's a trickle in effect. But we need some of that because hey, I like going to. Man, I love On Q, and we got the Brick House, a new one here in town, and they're great places. And if they had to count just on my local dollars, they wouldn't be there, and I wouldn't get to enjoy them either. So I definitely want them to thrive and succeed. But I don't want apple blossom every weekend in Front Royal.
I don't think Winchester wants it.
No. Well, I'm sure they're the same thing. It's a big shot in the arm for business, and we'll put up with this for a week or two, and then we'll go back to living a little more peaceful.
Anything else you want to touch base on?
Oh, I'm just really appreciative of all the supporters. I'll do my very best to promote small business and good economic growth. I won't be perfect. I don't think anybody is, but if you ask me a question, even a hard one, I'll do my best to answer it. Even if you don't like the answer, at least you'll know where I stand. You won't get a fake answer and then 2 weeks later get a different answer from me. So I'll do my very best to answer questions honestly, and hopefully that'll be enough to win.
Okay. Well, we're going to get back together with you in a couple of months after the primary time, and we'll see how things go for all the candidates then, and then that's when the season really starts. We'll get back into June, July, August.
Speaking of primary, it's important. It's something that I should have said earlier. The new primary is a total different dynamic. I'm fearful of low voter turnout because the Board of Supervisors in each district is all that's on the ballot.
Yeah, there's nothing really
on the ballot. It used to be just a committee, a small group would get to pick their candidate. I think the primary is going to give a better view of what that district wants if they come out and vote. I think the best turnout for the county is 100% voter turnout. Of course, I know that's unrealistic, but I think the higher that voter turnout is, the better candidate we'll get. Early voting starts May 2nd, and then the actual primary election day. The other thing, too, is if you lose the primary, you will not be on the ballot in November. There was a sore loser's law. That's the way the electoral described it to me. You can't even run as an independent. I guess you could run as a write-in, but that's not a very realistic way to get in. So the election may be the primary for me. So if you support me, please don't forget to come out and vote because it's going to make a difference.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you real soon. How's that?
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.